Hey guys, this is going to be part one of my lecture videos for inferential statistics. So in this module we have 5 objectives that we are going to cover. So first we're going to talk about why understanding probability is important to understanding statistics. We're going to explain the concept of significance and why it's important. We're going to talk about the difference between type 1 and type 2 errors. We're going to talk about how inferential statistics work, and then we're going to talk about how to select the appropriate test within inferential statistics. Okay? So this module is going to be kind of abstract. So when we talk about significance, I want you to think about the difference between groups that is due to some kind of systematic influence that's not chance. So we have to assume that all these other factors that might contribute to those differences are controlled. So to kind of illustrate that, I'm going to pop myself on and show you on my whiteboard a question as well as some hypothesis statements to examine differences between groups. All right, hey guys. Okay, so let's give a little bit of concreteness to this abstract concept that we're going to be talking about. So let's say we have a question that we want to answer. Okay, let's say we want to know who is happier, males or females. So I'm going to write this out. Whoop. Okay, so that's my question. What I want to do first is come up with a null hypothesis statement for this. Now remember, our null hypothesis states the groups are equal or there's no differences in our groups. So my null is going to say something along the lines of there is no difference in male happiness and female happiness. Okay, so I've got my question, I've got my null. Now I'm going to use my poker chip people. I'm going to bring you guys, actually no, I'm going to bring these poker chips over here and show them to you. Okay, so I've talked about my poker chip people before. So here's one of my poker chip people. Okay, so I've got them organized by males and females. So I've got 3 of each, 3 males, 3 females. So what I can do with these is I can calculate the average happiness for each of them. Okay, so for my males, my average happiness is roughly 2.3. I'm going to say male average 2.3. Remember, the 1 on the happiness scale is really sad, and the 7 on the happiness scale is really happy. The female average is 6.3. So my males are really not happy. My females are actually quite happy. So when we talk about significance, I want to know, is the difference between these 2 averages due to their gender, being male or female? I'm not really concerned about any other factors, things like age or income or occupation or race. Those don't matter. All I want to know is if male and female make a difference in happiness. Okay? So I'm going to stop here and go back to lecture slides real fast. Okay, so when we talk about being confident about the differences between my averages, we're talking about significance level. So what that is, it's the risk that we are going to take with not being 100% confident that what we observe is due to the treatment or what's being tested. Okay, so in my case, we're looking at male happiness, female happiness. The male average is 2.3, the female average is 6.3. So if I say the significance occurs at the 0.05 level, that's 5%, then there's a 1 in 20 chance that any differences found were not due to the hypothesized reason, but to some random reason or to chance. So remember, we're focusing only on gender in this particular question, okay? So with the social sciences, behavioral sciences, we always stick with this 0.05 level. If you are going into nursing or some of the other medical fields, you may see this significance level go down to 0.01 because there's a much more stringent requirement for those fields because it is medical research, okay? So when we talk about error, okay, so my averages I've calculated, we can never be really sure that the sample that we are testing reflects the population that we've pulled from. So I pulled 6 poker chip people, there's 100 poker chip people total in my box. So did the 3 males that I pulled out, are those accurate representations of all the males that I have in my poker chip box, or are they not very representative, okay? Plus, we have to realize that there are always other influences that might impact the outcome. Somebody could be having a really bad day and they could be sad that day. Just daily fluctuations in mood can impact our averages and happiness, okay? So whenever we talk about statistical significance, this is where we get into going back to our null hypothesis. If we reject a null when it's actually true, how much risk are we willing to take, okay? So if we go back to my null that I have on my board, let me go back to my board and I'll get that pulled up. Okay, so here's my board. So that last sentence on that last slide, the degree of risk you are willing to take that you reject a null when it's actually true. So when we look at our null, there is no difference in male and female happiness. Now there are 2 possibilities for this null hypothesis. It is either true or it is not true. If it is true, we say we accept the null. If it is false, we say we reject the null. Okay, so if we reject the null, then we say this statement, there is no difference, is false. Okay, so if I look at my averages, this is a really big difference between my 2 averages. This null is probably false. So I'm going to reject it. Okay, but what's the risk I'm willing to take that may be a wrong decision? Okay, so in my next part of my lecture series, we're going to talk about what happens when you have your null and you make a correct decision with rejecting it, or when you make an incorrect decision with rejecting it. Okay?